life flows on in endless song. Above earth's lamentation, I hear the sweet, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Above the tumult and the strife, I hear that music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roar? Here in my heart God liveth. What though the darkness round me glow? Songs in the night God giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm when to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? Tyrants tremble, sick with fear, and hear their death knell ringing. When friends rejoice, both far and near, how can I keep from singing? In prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are not defiled, how can I keep from singing? My eyes, the cloud grows thin. I see the blue above it, and day by day the path grows clear, since first I learned to love it. The peace of God makes fresh my heart, a fountain ever springing. Welcome to what I know will be one of the most satisfying hours for me, and I hope for you. As we begin, I would like to give a few shout outs. You know Sonia, my local camera operator here, wonderful daughter-in-law, videographer, camera operator, computer adjuster, emergency deal with her. Beverly Vandermolen in Granville, Michigan, who's our producer, director, the woman who is the queen of all things video, who can make us look good or bad, put us in the front or backstage or out on the street. Unfortunately, not at the local pub, but that's coming. Want to thank also Jane Medema, who occasionally has to operate camera, contribute ideas, ask questions, make sure that I am singing the right words. And some very special shout outs to Janelle Joppi, Beverly's daughter, who you may remember put together the anniversary video. If you saw our show on March the 18th, you saw the anniversary that she put together of our first year of concerts, which was beautifully done. And she has made an introductory video for our guest tonight, which when I introduce Alice Parker, I'm going to let you see Janelle's wonderfully wrought video. Another very special shout out is to Dave Vandermolen. Much of his work is pretty quiet and kind of in the background, but Dave is not only office manager, Dave is artist. Dave is a very skilled artist and has done CD covers, has done newsletters for years and years and years, and at the moment is working on designing and creating a new website for us. And he is experimenting with some pretty cutting-edge technology, which, if it works, will make life a lot more interesting for the people who go on our website to buy music. And I won't tell you any more because I don't want to ruin the fun. Let's just say that an experiment always has its glitches, always has its slowdowns, always has its challenges. And this experiment does too. Lots of computer minds trying to work and figure this out. And Dave is the patient as Job person who continues to work and work and work and make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. So a big thanks to Dave for all that hard work. And we're, with our, how do you cross your fingers? With our fingers crossed, hoping that all this works out. So it'll be an exciting thing for me to announce. A shout out to Pat. Pat is perhaps the newest member of our audience. She joins us for the first time this week. She discovered Medema music recently and ordered a whole stack of CDs, which she is sending to various friends. And she told me on the phone, she said, "Now I told my friends, you gotta sit down and listen to this all in one sitting. That's the only way to get the message." So Pat, I'm hoping all those friends take a good hard listen, and thank you for what you have done to make this music available to more people. Now then, before I introduce Miss Alice Parker, I would like to sing you one more song. This is a piece of mine. The first was not. That was a wonderful old hymn many of you know. This is a piece of mine called I Will Sing Hallelujah. When the days grow tedious and the nights grow cold, I will sing hallelujah, I will sing. When my mind grows weary and my flesh grows old, I will sing hallelujah, I will sing. I will sing like a bird upon the wing. I will keep on singing till my story's told. I will sing, hallelujah, I will sing. I'll sing that it's a long night and weary grow the feet that walk the long road, but the morning will come sweet. It's a long night, hope is in the streets tonight. Gets rugged and I'm far from home, I will sing, hallelujah, I will sing. When I look for answers and they just won't come, I will sing, hallelujah, I will sing. I will sing, I will sing, until the winter turns to a spring. I will keep on singing. In the darkness and the gloom, I will sing, hallelujah, I will sing. I'll sing that it's a long night and weary grow the feet that walk the long road, but the morning will come sweet. It's a long night and hope is in the streets tonight. In the days of danger and the time of war, I will sing, hallelujah, I will sing. The sky breaks open and the hate guns roar. I will sing, hallelujah, I will sing. I will sing, I will sing, till the death has lost its sting. I will keep on singing till we fight no more. I will sing, hallelujah, I will sing. It's a long night and weary grow the feet that walk the long road, but the morning will come sweet. It's a long night and hope is in the streets. Oh, hope is in the streets. Oh, hope is in the streets tonight. The name Alice Parker has been on my lips for a long time. Way back in the 1960s, I purchased recordings of the Robert Shaw Chorale, and the arrangements of all those hymns and Christmas carols were done by one Alice Parker. And whenever I went around choral people, her name got dropped around. Sometimes people wanted to impress me by saying, well, yes, I know Alice. And sometimes it was admiration from afar, and sometimes it was, why did she put that chord in that arrangement? So when in 2018, when I had the extreme privilege of going to a 3-day score study that Alice did in New York, it was pretty exciting to see this person who has been kind of a mother. Since this is Mother's Day, Alice has been kind of a mother to so many teachers and conductors and singers, musicians of all kinds. And she is also a mother of actual human beings, mother, grandmother, and great grandmother. So I would like for you, and people have said to me all this week, how did you get Alice? And I said, Beverly just called her up. Beverly's got lots of guts. Beverly just called her up. I would like for these people who have been with me for a year in this audience to meet my friend Alice Parker. Good evening, Alice.
Good evening, Ken.
It's great to be with you and hear your voice again.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I want to show you the little video that Janelle put together about you. And then I want to talk about this thing about being a mother to children, a mother to musicians. And I want to ask you about, there's a quote in the video that says, I feel like when I write music, I'm feeding people's ears. So I want us to talk about that. But first, I would like us to see this video that our wonderful Janelle has put together.
A very practical person, and I'm also a mother, and I'm also a cook. And I feel that what I'm doing when I write music is feeding your ears. Just the earning my living doing what I absolutely love to do, and that's making music, rehearsing, learning, teaching, composing, arranging. I don't draw any difference between those. And I describe myself as a composer and conductor and teacher. And those are like the three legs of a three-legged stool. You know what happens if you take one of them away? You know, boom. Yeah, so I want to keep doing three, and I want to keep writing different pieces that people need. So I'm writing for children sometimes, and for professional choirs sometimes, and for voices and instruments sometimes.
Charming children. What lovely, lovely singing that was. So, what do you mean now that when you make music, you are feeding our ears?
Well, let me start with the more familiar proposition of feeding people's tummies. And when you raise children, and particularly when you have 5 of them in a New York apartment, as I had, and you've got to feed them 3 meals every day, it's really up to you to decide how you're going to feed them. And I was very concerned with putting good food in front of them, fresh food. And I made bread every day, lots of soups, salads, and hearty, simple foods. My husband was also a wonderful cook, and he did the fancier things. He could do sauces and salad dressings and things, but the food was just a very basic part of our lives together. And it struck me when I thought of making music that was going to feed different people of different ages and different occupations and things. What kind of music did I want to give them? And the same kind of thinking entered into my heart, that I didn't want to just do fancy things. It was not Christmas every day. It was not Thanksgiving every day. Some days were very, very simple. It was Campbell's soup and cheese sandwich or something like that. But it was always prepared with love, and there was a whole lot of very simple foods that were given. And I wanted to have a whole lot of very simple music for people. I got fascinated with song, with folk song, and with songs that last. I thought, why on earth does that song last?
Yes.
A song
Yes.
like a very, very simple song like Clementine,
Yeah.
or I've been working on the railroad, or the lovely Christmas carols. Some of them are just beautiful melodies, and you think, well, obviously that's going to last. And some of them are just dumb little things, but they last. And if you try to write a song that's going to last, you discover you can't use any of the things that you were taught in school. It doesn't, you aren't doing simple things. You have to get everything else out of the way and just concentrate on what is the simple core of this song that you can get across to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of writing music that got more and more complicated as the years go by, it's kind of gone the other way. And now I'm just fascinated with what can be in a very simple folk song that just has maybe 4 lines and 4 phrases,
Yeah.
but that is exactly right.
Just right.
And that's a huge challenge.
Just right.
Yeah.
And of course, so much of the music that you have done capitalizes on that. Even the things that you have done that are more complex still capitalize on those simple melodies, the tonality. It's really delightful. We have a little clip of the Missouri State University singers who came to see you one day, and you were kind enough to run them through a piece. And I'd like for our friends to see that video, because it really does show that kind of delicious simplicity, and yet it shows the vitality that's in those harmonies. So let's hear our friends in Missouri who are up in Boston now for this tour, and Alice is conducting them. Check. kids did a pretty good job on that, didn't they?
They did.
Basses got a little bit rambunctious on the last note, but it was a lovely, lovely. And that you had not worked with them before that one time?
But this, they came to visit me. Actually, we were in my little church, our little church in Charlemont, Massachusetts, not in Boston, but in the western part of the state, which has a lovely room to sing in. And they came
Yes.
to visit me and were there, sang in our church for the whole church the next morning. And we did a workshop on Saturday. It was just lovely. I had worked before that with their conductor, so that I knew them that way.
You have done a lot of work with and in the church. I want to ask you about that. You've written 4 operas. Actually, our publicity says you've written 5 because somewhere
Yes,
we got the idea. Well, you've got one more in you, so there you go. We're just we're just expecting the future.
All
But
right.
all
Good
the
luck.
all the 4 operas that you have done have been performed in churches. Why?
Well, churches continually ask me to write music. Schools don't. Schools don't have money. They don't have the setup. Some of them do, and I've had wonderful commissions from some schools, but it's usually parents that get together outside and make this possible.
Sure.
The churches since the beginning of time have been places where people sing, and people recognize that music does something when it's combined with words that touches us in a way that nothing else matches. So the music really belongs in the church.
Yeah.
So it's just simply that so many more churches have asked me to write pieces for them than schools. That's the reason I have so much sacred music compared with secular.
And
And
for
the operas
years,
are, yeah,
go ahead.
the operas are because the first one was from my Mennonite friends who commissioned a work about the beginnings of the Protestant movement in the Reformation in Switzerland and Holland in the 1600s,
Yeah.
and of a congregation of a priest who dares to imitate Christ's life. He wants adult baptism, and he wants absolutely no war. And that was really against the teachings of the church in that day, so he was ostracized. And it's this protest that started that whole movement. And it also had a very strong component of congregational singing, that people should not just sit back and let somebody else lead the worship. They should be part of it themselves. And so that's when we begin to get this flood of hymns and of sacred songs in the church, and also the carols and the less serious songs. They're just wonderful stories. So that was the first one, was called The Martyr's Mirror. And the second one is called The Family Reunion, and it's a one-act opera with almost all secular. It's folk songs that would have been sung in mid-19th century America. And it's a family reunion where nothing goes wrong. Somebody told me that to do an opera, I had to have conflict. Something had to go wrong and then get fixed by the end of it. And I didn't want anybody to fall down and break their leg, or grandpa to be involved in a car accident on the way to the reunion. I just wanted people to get together and sing. So that's what they do. And it was great fun. And then the third one was about a town in Virginia, which is named Singer's Glen, which is the name of the opera. And it was named for the activities of the people there who led singing schools and published those rectangular hymnals that with the old shape notes in them, which were almost the popular music of the latter half of the 19th century. They went west in covered wagons with people who this was their main music. They didn't have music unless they made it themselves. And these hymns that they learned to read music and then sing were just everywhere. And it's a fascinating story to explore, and those wonderful hymns that came out of that. So that's 3 of them.
And the fourth?
The 4th is by a story by Eudora Welty, who I just love, wonderful Mississippi author. And it's the story of a small town in Mississippi in about 1930. And it has nothing to do with politics, and it doesn't have anything to do with the church on the surface of it, but it's about whites and blacks getting along together in this little town. And it's a very comical story. And the music in it is all based on kind of New Orleans jazz, early 20s kind of jazz. And but there are also spirituals. There's a funeral in it with a wonderful old shape note hymn in it. And there are dances and wonderful arguments. There's a tango with a woman who's telling the story being interrogated by a cruel district attorney. And they do a tango as they sing back and forth to each other. It's different from the others, but it also has been performed in a church, and it is fun. Yeah.
You love to wander around in lots of different territories, don't you?
I do, and it's because the songs have led me in those different territories.
Yep. And it wouldn't have been unusual in years past for one to walk into the Cathedral of St. John the Divine and see you leading a whole congregational sing-along.
Absolutely.
I want to play one piece. It's just an audio piece. There's no video with it. And I want to explain why I'm playing this. As I say, I have loved your work for such a long time. One of the pieces on the recording of hymns and spirituals got to me particularly, and in this time as we are working to discover how Black Lives Matter and how we can be allies together in changing the conditions, one of the things that I'm learning is that people need to be able to empathize or have compassion with others. And in this arrangement of a spiritual, I feel like you have captured that quiet despair, which sometimes goes to triumph, but then back to despair of so many of our Black friends. This is a variation on the spiritual. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. And let me just say the word for our audience. It begins with, sometimes I feel like a moaning dove. Sometimes I feel like a moaning dove. Sometimes I feel like a moaning dove. Wring my hands and cry. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Wring my hands and cry. Sometimes I feel like I gotta know home. Sometimes I feel like I gotta know home. Sometimes I feel like I gotta know home. Wring my hands and cry. Sometimes I feel like an eagle in the air. Sometimes I feel like an eagle in the air. Sometimes I feel like an eagle in the air. Spread my wings and fly. Sometimes I feel like a moaning dove. Spread my wings, wring my hands and cry. Now, for our audience, this is only a sound. This is not a video. So what I would encourage you to do is to close your eyes and listen deeply. Listen deeply to the moaning and the groaning and the sighing. And I'll try to make it through without crying. But I make no promises.
Sometimes I
For the rest of my life, Alice Parker, I will thank you for that arrangement.
Thank you, Ken.
It
Thank you.
it has been for me over the years solace and challenge and comfort and yeah, it has been such a rich gift. I play it over and over and over again. So I want to ask you a question. For Alice Parker, what right now is the bottom line? What is the greatest passion for you? If you could say a word of encouragement to the world, what would you say?
Well, one thing that we humans have are ears and voices. And if we really listen to what's going on around us, not just what can be written down about the song, not just the words as they look in print, but the words as spoken and what happens to them when they get sung, how they get inside of us to express emotions that can't get expressed by words by themselves. The things that happen when we sing without words, just caroling for joy or moaning in sorrow. It's tapping into the deepest part of ourselves, the part that has, well, it resides inside of us, but it has almost no connection with the body. It doesn't matter whether the body is old or very young or white or black or any color or what language it speaks. It's all of us as human beings have this yearning inside of us for food that will nourish those emotions, help us to get over the hard places, help us to rejoice in the happy places, help us get through a monotonous job, help us dream, imagine. They're just songs for every possible human need. When we're angry, when we want to really use violence somewhere, if we sing it out, we don't need to use violence itself. We sing out that emotion, and somehow the singing of it, just as in singing the huge sorrow, the music itself, the singing itself, is a solace. It helps get us back into rhythm with the universe. I have this kind of funny feeling that there's a basic pulse to the whole universe. And what happens when we sing, and particularly when we sing together, is that we are aligning our personal uh, vibrations with that vibration which is within the whole universe. And that's why it's so satisfying. We are putting ourselves in the midst of this complicated natural world in which we live and reducing it to simplicity again, that we can lie back and be enclosed in the arms of this gift of song that helps us every day get through what we have to get through. So singing is not just entertainment. It can be wonderful entertainment, but it's far deeper than that. It's something that helps us express our inmost humanity and our care and respect and love for each other and for this beautiful world that we're in. So song means that for me.
You bid us open ears and listen wide and deep to hear when people laugh, to hear when people weep. You bid us raise our voices, take the breath and sing, to sing our joys and sorrows, to rise on music's wings. Sing, she says, lift your voice and sing. Sing, she says, lift your voice and sing. The song, it can be simple, it can be fast or slow. It can be a song so aged or a new one, don't you know? You bid us do this singing to open up the heart. You bid us sing the whole song, not only just a part. Sing, sing, lift your voice and sing. Sing, she says, lift your voice and sing. Oh, sweet and gentle singer, sweet Alice, thanks to you for being in this moment and speaking clear and true. And we who now have listened will fly on music's wings, at home, at work, and everywhere we'll sing, sing, sing. Sing, sing, lift your voice and sing. Sing, sing, lift your voice and sing. I didn't get to sing a gratitude song to you after the last workshop, so that's my gratitude song.
That's beautiful, Ken. My goodness. Thank you.
What a pleasure to have been with you these few moments. I want to thank you, and I'm going to sing a couple of songs before we finish, but thank you ever so much. May I call you Mama Alice?
You may.
The mama of music, the mama of children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, the mama of so many conductors, teachers, singers, composers, musicians from all places. Thank you for blessing us this hour.
Thank you, Ken, for having me here.
I want to sing two songs, my friends. One of them is a song written as a lullaby to a young mother. It's a Christmas song, but it's written as a lullaby to a young mother. You know, in a way, all of us are mothers, and there is a mothering side to all of us if we're sensitive to it. We are all pregnant with possibilities, and with new life, and with new ideas and new dreams. Sometimes I think the church ought to be like a young mothers club, where we get together and look at each other in the eye and say, "How's your womb doing? How are you doing with the contractions these days?" So this is my song to young Mary. Hush, Mrs. Teenage Mary, don't say a word tonight. Hush, Mrs. Teenage Mary, until the morning light. You have not seen nothing yet, but try to get some sleep, 'cause when this baby wakes to his task, there'll be reason enough to weep. Oh, yea, reason enough to worried, Joseph. Don't say a word tonight. Hush, Mr. Worried Joseph, until the morning light. You have not seen nothing yet. Help Mary dry her tears. 'Cause when this baby wakes to his task, there'll be reason enough to fear. Hear, reason enough to fear. Oh, hush, all you wandering shepherds, don't say a word tonight. Hush, all you wandering shepherds, until the morning light. You ain't not seen nothing yet up in the evening sky. 'Cause when this baby wakes to his task, you're gonna see him die. Oh my, you're gonna see him die. Hush, all you sheeps and you cattles, don't say a word tonight. Hush, all you sheeps and cattles, until the morning light. You ain't not seen nothing yet, just the birth of a baby boy. But when this baby wake from the dead, then the whole world will shout for joy. Oh boy, the whole world will shout for joy, for joy, for joy. And one more song to fill out the hour. My mother's very favorite song. In fact, on our album called Someday, which is a collection of hymns, at the end of this song, my mother was sitting in the audience while we recorded, and at the end of the song, we can hear her go, The song is I'd Rather Have Jesus. Now let me tell you a bit about my learning to appreciate this song. When I was a kid, Mother, every Sunday night, Mother would put on music from her favorite gospel quartet. And you know, I was a sophisticated music student learning Bach and Mozart and Beethoven and Ravel and Debussy and all of that complex classical music. And I thought, this song is such a dorky kind of, I'd rather have Jesus. Everything has changed about my relationship to that song, because the more I understand about Jesus the Galilean, the rabbi, the revolutionary, the one who wanted to change systems of oppression and turn them around, the one who said, blessed are those who are poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The one who said, blessed are those who suffer for the right, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. The more I learn about Jesus and justice, the more I learn about Jesus and money, the more I learn about Jesus and compassion and being human, the more I understand, my word, that song says it all. And so, my mom's favorite song, and we'll end with this. Just before we end, if you want to donate to this work, www.interluderetreats.org. We're, even as we speak, gearing up for 2 retreats for church musicians this summer. We'll have one in July, virtual, and a reunion. That'll be new people, and then a reunion in August for our former interlude. We call them interludians. We'll have one in August for our former people. So we'll be touching the lives of a lot of church musicians this summer, and you can be part of that as you are part of these weekly concerts and also bringing my music to little tiny churches that have no money at all. Interlude retreats. Next week, a bunch of international wonderful fun. My friends Stan Dotson and Kim Chrisman, who live in Asheville, but who are sort of world travelers and international music collectors, and they're bringing with them some friends who are Cuban-American friends who will be singing both in English and in Spanish. It'll be a feast of international song. So come join us next week, same time, same station. Here we go. I'd rather have Jesus than silver or gold. I'd rather be his than have riches untold. I'd rather have Jesus than houses or land. I'd rather be led by his nail-pierced hand than to be the king of a vast domain and be held in sin's red sway. I'd rather have Jesus than anything this whole world affords today. I'd rather have Jesus than folks' applause. I'd rather be faithful to his dear cause. I'd rather have Jesus than worldwide fame. I'd rather be true to his holy name. He's fairer than lilies of rarest bloom. He's sweeter than honey from out the comb. He's all that my hungering spirit needs. I'd rather have Jesus and let him lead than to be the king of a vast domain and be held in sin's red sway. I'd rather have Jesus than anything Good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.